Recording. So, welcome to the final episode of the project management with Rome. So, next month I'll be doing the editing, going deep into writing this. So, this final chapter is looking back at our what you call this the entire project management framework, na, and asking ourselves what will be our style of doing this particular project. So in actual projects, since you already know those different areas, those different tools, so the first thing you will actually do is sort of plan out how you will attack this particular project with the project management plan. So my style of doing the project management is simply going through guide questions, which will help you think about how you approach project. So perhaps a good way to start this is to look at the overall view of what a project is. Let me just open this. So I made a diagram. Okay. Of the different areas of project management. So you could access this in the graph. So you have integration, scope, schedule, cost, quality, team, communications, risk, procurement, stakeholder. So here, this is based on my preference and based on my how I manage projects. So of course you may have a different way of looking at these things, but this is how the different software I would use for these different areas of project management. For instance, creating a project charter, I used to use a word processor for that. Now I would use Rome. You could also see here the different aspects of project management, which I prefer to use other types of tools. For instance, there are things here which I won't use Rome for, like procurement, most of procurement and most of cost management. I would use spreadsheets for that. But the word processor, for instance, is something that Rome could easily replace, and it's a better option. Project team software like Asana and Trello and ClickUp, these things, I mean, Rome is not designed for them as well. So I would use project team software for that, like defining activities, estimating duration, developing and monitoring schedules. So that would be, I would be using, what you call this, what you call it, so team teamwork software for that. So that's like an overview of projects or the different areas of project management. And we go back there. So once you start a project, so you already think about, okay, you have different tools and different areas of project management. So what will be used there? So this is a list of guide questions to help us think through how we will approach a project. And the project management plan is essentially a summary of your explanation of, or this is an explanation of how you will run a project. So for instance, for integration management, which is like, for instance, how will you, what is the kind of project charter you will present? So I gave you a template for that. That's my preferred template, but there are different ways of approaching a project charter. So here it's when you decide, how will I approach this kind of project? Also here, like how will you structure the project? What methodology will you use? So all these high level things in managing a project. How will you align closure? How will you document lessons learned? So the things I gave you, those are just one style of documenting lessons learned, for instance. So, but that's something you want to think of, depending on what project you're doing and also your preference as a project manager. And then also going to the different areas, you have scope here. So what will you use for scope identification and scope tracking? So my go-to tool is of course the WBS, but there are other different ways of using the WBS. You could use a mind map, you could use Roam. So this is the point where you decide on those things. And then the schedule management plan, how will you actually create your calendar? How you will you list down your activities? So I'll be sharing all this checklist. Actually, I'll still be improving this. I'll be updating this for the book. But this is essentially a way of planning out how will you will attack the project as a project manager. So that is basically what I wanted to present now, and that the rest would be just a conversation about this. If there's anything here that strikes you, we could discuss that. There are some things here which I actually didn't um, bring up during our sessions. Like for instance, making use of war rooms. These days, this is I guess impossible. Or maybe in the next few months after vaccines, this would be possible again. Um, yeah. So this is going meta. Yeah. We didn't discuss procurement management. It's very few of my projects have been procurement heavy. Although the last project I did was a lot about the procurement, but yeah, it's also pretty straightforward there. So that's it. That is a chapter. And then yeah, I just wanted to discuss this with you and perhaps also get your feedback for the entire entire course. So Ashish and Bruno, any questions or feedback regarding this particular chapter, and then also the entire um, all the sessions we had? Just looking back.
Um, no, I think so. As I mentioned, for me, it was quite comprehensive, and along with the refresher, also additional questions and updates as to what one should be reminded of. And clearly, there's value in terms of also sequencing and prioritizing some of the aspects while thinking about the project design, because often we chase deadlines and we chase the workflow, but talking about how to put the team together, how to keep them motivated, how to manage them, then how to talk about the risk framework. So a bunch of those, I think that was useful. So that's from my side. Thank you.
May I ask Ashish, what would be your? Let me look at the table of contents here. I'm going to ask you like which particular chapter or tool did you find most helpful in the past weeks?
So I think for me, it was also the first was, when we started, and then we started with the project charter. That is something that I had not prioritized as much, because as I was doing my own project planning, that timed well with the session that we were discussing. And then I went back to the team and said, look, we've not thought about the project charter. So work breakdown structure we were doing in some manner, but it wasn't complete. So that information helped me complete that. Project charter was my first, the bulb that lit up. Okay, this has to be spoken now rather than waiting for the project to start. Then the risk register also was a useful reminder that we have to quantify and classify the risks, because they will as the project moves, the risks will evolve. Then designing serendipity is my favorite because of the discussions that we've had. I think it was a new approach, to me radical in all ways compared to the risk management approach that is followed in standard. So I look forward to what comes out in the book in this section. So if you were to ask me what is the one thing, so it would be the one thing, but at the same time, several other things, basically a structured approach in terms of what are the steps, what is the priority, and then continuous reminders. And the small things that you did, tagging and then linking it up to other things, I think that brings in a new, that brings in a rejuvenated approach when one looks at project management. I don't do my project management in Rome yet. So that is something that I'll work towards, because managing different tools is another headache. So I think that's another good story that you have in the approach.
Yeah, and also, yeah, because like I also do my task management in Rome. So it's just like I don't need to switch to different apps when I'm planning the project and then actually doing the work for different projects. So that's another thing why I like doing project management in Rome. Bruno, do you have any feedback or any of this? May I ask which chapters you struck you the most?
Well, altogether, it was an interesting overview of project management, and as you see it, your personal touch on it. I think it has been, I've been following in detail from the chapter until the chapter 4. I've been less, that's where I learned the most, I would say.
Okay.
From the last chapters, I was less engaged, for whatever reason. Could be also on my side, not only on the course itself. What I will remember is the risk register. And when we talked about the list quality and issues, that's the key point for me. Things I didn't really think about like this.
Was there anything that surprised you?
Surprise, well, not really, but maybe I'm not qualifying it surprise in my head. So I was both curious on your approach on project management. It was a good input for me, and how to use Rome. On that, I have not been very surprised. So that's maybe the hardest part of it. I mean, it was a challenge to. The challenge was to use Rome to manage a project. I mean, obviously there are some parts for which it goes well, and other parts for which it's less easy.
Cool. All right. Any other things you want to share before we end?
When will you expect to have the book ready?
July. I'll do my writing in June. I'll finish my
Okay.
the ODPS next week. So after that, I should have some slack to focus on writing.
Okay.
Cool.
And will
And-
you keep us updated by mail?
Yes, yes.
So
Also,
that
I
we
have
know.
to compile all the videos and send you the link to those videos. I have to add this to this graph as well, the link to the videos. So that's the first step, and
Okay.
update the believers. Also, I'm gonna offer like one-on-one conversations. So after I release the book, I could and if you have a project that you're planning to manage, yeah, I could help. I'll offer that to the early supporters.
Oh, very good.
And by the way, so I'd like to invite you to this event we are running on this this Sunday, no? Which is but this is bad time for Europe. This is gonna be 7 a.m. here on Saturday, which is around maybe 1 a.m. in at least I know it's 1 a.m. in Amsterdam. So this is but there will be a multiplayer graph. So I'll give you access here if you're interested. So we'll be sharing how we do task management in Rome. So we've been talking about project management. Now it's like, how do we actually manage our own tasks? So I'm interested to hear from other people who use Rome, because we are like those finches in the Galapagos. So we've been evolving our own way of using Rome for task management. And now it's time to see how are the people using Rome for getting things done. Yeah, and also interested to see how different personalities influence what kind of productivity stack you use. So I'll be sharing this graph. There's also a part here where we ask people to share what their stack is and what their personality is, and why did they design their productivity stack like that. So that's something I've been pretty interested in. And so I hope you guys could join. Let me share with you. I'll share with you later the link to that.
Something else.
I'm not sure. He's back.
My internet got cut.
You're back.
So anyhow, that's it. That is the series. Thank you so much for joining me
Khalil,
this
I
journey.
didn't get
Mhm.
the graph that you shared. Is it the same graph or it's another link?
It's a different graph. We'll be sharing it maybe tomorrow. So we're just preparing this to be shared. It'll be like up for maybe a week until the end of May. It's like a survey of different how different people use Rome for productivity. So we'll see what happens. It's also been the collective notes of the event, the salon, this May 22, 23, Sunday for here us in the Philippines.
Okay.
All right. So again, thank you so much,
Great.
Ashish and Bruno. It has been a great journey. It's not yet over, but we're almost there.
Very good.
All the best.
Thank you so
Look
much.
forward to July.
All right. Have a
Bye-bye.
great day. Bye-bye.
Thank you too. Thanks, Bruno. Bye.